Hi everyone, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to be doing a little tutorial on how to use alcohol markers in your mixed media. And I want to start out by saying that I used marker paper for this. So what you're seeing right now is a sketch that I made using Prismacolor's Color Erase colored pencils, which have the erasable feature, which is really nice when you're working with both wet and dry media. And I am painting watercolor on Spectrum Noir's marker paper, which I just picked up at Tuesday morning recently. And as long as I don't use a ton of water, I can watercolor on this paper without it buckling or pilling up too much, where the paper starts to pill, and you've probably experienced that before if you watercolor at all, when paper will start to kind of peel away a little bit. So the area that I'm going to be using the alcohol markers is on the girl in the painting, and I really enjoy using alcohol markers for portraits because I love how they blend on skin. I'm showing you the Copic multi-liner right now. This is a pen, a fine liner, that is specifically designed to work with alcohol markers and not be smeared or smudged by them. And this is in the color warm gray, so I like using the warm gray. It's not quite as stark as the black, and I also have a navy blue Copic multi-liner, which is nice to use. Markers that I'm using right now are actually new to me. They are a Michaels brand alcohol marker that I wanted to try out, and I got the portrait set of their Artist Loft brand, which is around $10 if you use a half off coupon, which is really nice. So you get 6 markers. Nice array of colors, very nice and juicy. I thought they blended really well, and I liked the color selection. I liked that they included 2 deeper skin tones that could be used for ethnic skin tones, and it wasn't all just sort of lighter peach colored ones. So I'm basically just using my, I think I end up using 4 or 5 of the alcohol marker from the portrait set and just going back over it to blend and deepening the color. And I eventually make it quite a bit darker, and I edited some of that out just so you don't have to see coloring like over and over again. Now you can kind of see the skin tone that I was aiming for. I wanted her to have a deeper skin tone. And now I'm just using that Prismacolor Color Erase pencil again to draw some lanterns and kind of put in some more of the detail where I'm going to be using mixed media. So here's where I want to talk to you a little bit about how you can blend alcohol markers within a mixed media piece. There are certain things that you don't want to use alcohol markers over, which acrylic paint would be one of them. Eventually, it will ruin your alcohol marker because the plastic and the pigments of the acrylic paint will actually get into the nib of the pen, and it might not do it right away, but it will eventually ruin that pen. Definitely not oil paints. The paint, the traditional paint that I usually see used with alcohol markers is watercolor, and so that's why I've been practicing this so much, blending the two. because I know that the watercolors are going to be a pretty safe medium to work with in terms of not jamming up the nibs too much. And in this case, I'm not really mixing the two as much as I am just painting around the girl and then using other media to go on top. So for instance, there are a lot of different media that you could put on top of the alcohol marker. For instance, right now I'm using an Otto food ball pen, and I'll list all the supplies below. India ink is fine, most inks, and in terms of acrylic paint, if you wanted to use acrylic paint for everything but the figure or everything but a certain section of the painting, you could definitely do that. Just make sure that the alcohol markers don't touch the acrylic part. So now I wanted to add a little more pop to the lanterns, and so I went in with some gouache, which is a type of watercolor that is a little bit more opaque, and I really like the look of gouache. It's described as having a velvety texture, and I think it really does, especially when it's dry, and I like that it has that more opaque look, but it's a nice blend between watercolors and acrylics. So I've really been enjoying learning how to use gouache. You can also use gouache for highlights over your alcohol markers, like I'm doing here. And there were certain areas where the watercolor, because alcohol markers are going to come across or come through translucent, if you have to correct any mistakes, you can use the gouache to do that because it is a little bit more opaque. So for instance, on one of her arms, some of the red I had overpainted into the arm, and so I just repainted that with the gouache where the highlight was going to be, and then used that food ball pen to go back over it. Right now I'm using more gouache, and then at some point here I use an India ink filled water brush marker. So I use, kind of a variety of different inks to go over both the alcohol markers and the watercolor and the gouache. Jelly roll pens are great going over alcohol markers. I see them used a lot, especially for little details and for highlights like on the base. And then for her moon necklace, I used a Brea Reese brush marker, a metallic one in gold, and I'm gonna put some links to Brea Reese below, because even though I usually buy her stuff at Hobby Lobby, they do sell Brea Reese at a couple of different places, and I wanted to be sure to include those below, because I'm really liking the Brea Reese products. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Please leave any questions or comments below, and I'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.